Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 16 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing 20 brand new Halloween paper crafts to make with a Cricut over 20 days. Today we're going back to card making and I've got not one, but two greetings cards for you today. These match the design of the giant sign from day 1 of this countdown. I took the tree from the middle of the sign and one of the spooky houses with a ghost coming out the top, and I've put them into their own standalone cards. These are really cute. They're quick and easy to make. They are A2 sized and they come with, can you guess? I'll show you. A matching envelope template. So if you don't have any envelopes the right size, you can make one really nicely and easily. I've used a pattern paper on the inside to give a little bit of colour when the envelope is opened up. So what are you waiting for? Go grab the files and let's get started. The files for this project are free for the next 24 hours. Here's how to download them. Register a free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25. After registering, you'll get an email which contains a link to the schedule page for the countdown. Visit the schedule page to find and download today's files. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files from the Halloween Craft Countdown, plus loads of extra bonus designs. Or purchase just this design at craftwithsarah.com/products. To find the designs from this countdown, click into the Occasions filter and choose Halloween. The designs will appear here each day once they become available to buy. The download comes in a zip folder. You need to unzip this before uploading the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG files into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, then go to Upload on the left and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the files on your computer or drag and drop them in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the download folder and within there look in 01 Cricut version. If you're using a Silhouette or a Scan and Cut, then you might want to use one of the other files. Head to craftwithsarah.com/help for information on your type of machine and which is the easiest file to use for you. But I'll go in 01 Cricut version, and there are two files in here. Both of them start SVG-01 in the file name. One is Halloween House and one is Halloween Tree. Both of these work exactly the same in Design Space, so I'm only going to show you one of the designs here, but we'll look at sticking both of them together when it comes to having them cut out. I'll go for the tree. This is what it looks like. Press continue and then upload, and then it will insert onto your canvas. As this is making an A2 card, it should load in at 8.5 inches wide and 5.5 inches tall. If yours is different, you can change it to suit those numbers. You can close out this window on the left by clicking the arrow about halfway down the page. The design comes in ready to cut, but you might want to do a couple of things. One is if you already have pre-made A2 size card blanks in your craft stash, so that would be 4.25 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall when it's folded, then you might want to delete the base layer on here and just use one of your existing card blanks. Or if you don't have a card blank, you may wish to add a score line down the middle of the one on the screen to make it easier to fold. For both of those options, click the design and then press the Ungroup button at the top of the Layers panel to separate out all the pieces. If you don't want to do the base card, you can click on it in the bottom and then either click the eye to hide it so it won't get cut out, or you can click on it and then press the trash can icon to delete it. However, I am going to be using mine, so I want to add a score line. To do that, go into Shapes and choose a score line. Set it to the height of the card, which is 5.5. And then click and drag a box that just touches the score line and the base card. Press Align Center to put the score line exactly in the middle. And then with those two layers still selected, press Attach at the bottom of the Layers panel. Attach is what tells the Cricut that we want it to do the score line there. If it moves it to the top, go Arrange, Center Back, and you can drag it back into place if you want to. This would then be ready to cut. Super easy. However, the download folder does also contain an envelope template. If you want to make an envelope, you can load that in now, or you can do it later on when you've cut this out and do it as a new project. It's completely up to you. To load the envelope, go back to Upload and then Upload Image. Look in the download folder and there's another folder in there called A2 Envelope. Click in there and then drag in the file that starts SVG in the file name. It looks like this. Press Continue and then Upload. It will load in at the correct size, which is 9.7 inches wide and 11.2 tall. It comes in sections so that you can cut it on A4 or US letter paper, as well as 12 by 12. We need to do a few things to this to add some score lines. First up, we'll ungroup the layers, just like we did with the card. Then you'll see a subgroup in here, which you can tell because there's a chevron arrow next to it in the Layers panel. Click the arrow, and then click on the blue rectangle. Under Operation, change it to Score. If you don't have a scoring tool, you could change it to the pen and have the Cricut draw the line instead and then manually score it yourself. But I do have one, so I'll click on Score. Then click to select that mini group. You can see I've now got my white shape and the rectangle selected, but not these two flaps underneath because those aren't in this mini group. Then press Attach. And that's join the score line onto this piece. All right, so now I can click make, but let's just check my colors. Okay, they are showing us slightly different now, which is what I want. I'm going to cut my envelope from pattern paper, so it's really nice and cheerful and bright. So I didn't want to make it the same white as the white of the base card. I tend to do my whites in a very slight off grey, which you can probably tell here. It will be cut from actual white. It's just some design softwares. If you put white on a white background, it doesn't add this nice black line around it and you just can't see it. So that's why I tend to have a slight bit of grey whenever I use white. So I would do this for my pattern paper. Click Make. That will separate everything out for you. So this is my card. Change it to A4 and then it might need 2 sheets. Might be able to fit those bits on. Although actually, I've just realised my pattern paper I want to use is 12 by 12 anyway. So yeah, I'm not sure they would both fit on one sheet, but that's fine. I'm going to change it back to 12 by 12. Where is it? There. Okay, good, because I will be doing all that from the same bit of card. All right, so go through and change anything else you want. This one I will be doing from A4. And then you've got all of your other layers too. When you're happy with how everything's looking, press Continue to connect to your Cricut and follow the on-screen instructions to get everything cut out from your cardstock. Here are all the pieces of my spooky tree greetings card cut out, and then I'll show you the haunted house one and the envelope afterwards. We'll be putting these together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is Barely Art glue, but I also like Halal. The reason I like these glues is they don't bend or wrinkle the card like some glues can do. The foam squares I'm using are from Dot & Dab. These ones are 5 by 5mm in size and 2mm thick, but it doesn't really matter what size you use, just whatever you feel most comfortable with. If yours are bigger, you might need to cut them smaller with scissors to fit in some of the little places in the tree. As with all my layered designs, we'll start at the bottom and work upwards. So I'll move these pieces over, and then we've got the base card here with the score line down the middle to fold in half. If you've got a brayer tool, you can go down the score line to get it nice and crisp. And then we'll start from the bottom, which is this black rectangle of card, and this one will be glued onto the card front. The download folder contains an assembly guide that tells you the order to put everything together in, so you can refer back to that if that's easier than watching the whole video every time. Why isn't my glue coming out? They come with a needle, which is quite helpful for getting it unclogged. It doesn't clog up very often. There we go. See, nice and easy to fix. That sits right on the front of the card and covers up the whole of the front. Then next up we've got the orange for the sky, also to be glued on. Then we've got this purple piece to make up the tree trunk. Again, we're gluing this one on. Next is this black piece, and now we're using our foam squares for the first time. I'm trying not to do too many layers of foam in these cards so that they don't get really thick and expensive to post. So we'll be keeping it to just 2 layers of foam square overall. If you wanted to make it even thinner and lighter, then you could leave out the foam squares entirely and just glue it. As well as putting your foam squares around the middle like this, you also need to make sure there's some in that tree shape, otherwise there'll be nothing to hold it level with the border and it will dome downwards and touch the rest of the card underneath rather than staying level in 3D, which is what we're after. Now that those are all on there, I can peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Get your card, line up the edges and then gently drop down. That way, if you're not quite happy with the positioning, you can pick it up and move it because it hasn't stuck yet. It's just laid on top. But that looks good to me, so I will push down to stick. Next we've got the purple bit to go on here, and I'll glue this one. Then we've got the green for the eyes, and I'll glue this as well. You could use foam squares for this bit if you want to, but I think it fits better with glue. I've used a green mirror card for these bits. And then glue the black face on top. Like that. And then a foam square for the star. And that's our first A2 Halloween card, all finished. Now I'll move on to the other one. Here's my haunted house. I've already laid all the pieces on top of each other following the assembly guide, just like I did with the tree. And once again, we'll start at the bottom and then work upwards. I'll fold this in half. Go down it with my brayer. Then take the orange rectangle, this one, and glue it to the front of the card. Then next up, we've got the sky in the blue with the stars cut out, also to glue on top. Then we've got the green for the grass, more gluing. Next up is this purple bit, and this will be the first one for foam squares. But before we do that, we need to turn it upside down, add a little bit of glue around the window, and then glue the larger of the yellow squares to the back, and that will fill it in to make it look like the light is shining through. And then add the foam squares to the back. Then peel the tops off to reveal the stickiness underneath. Line it up along the edges and gently drop down. Then if you're happy with the positioning, push to stick. Next up we've got the roof. This will be our next foam square layer. And another one that's got a yellow square to go behind the window. Once again, line up the edges, drop down, and push to stick when you're happy. Now we're moving on to some of the smaller pieces. We've got this one next to glue on. And you can also glue the window. It's a bit narrow. This goes on the left-hand side. And a little windowsill as well, also to glue. I foamed these on the giant sign for day 1, but this time they'll work better glued. We don't want our card to be too thick, as I said. And then got a triangle bit to go around the roof. Don't know what word I was trying to say then. There we are. And glue that bit under on the chimney. Probably should have done that before putting the roof on, but it can slide in there just nicely. There we go. And then the door, we've got the window on here to fill in with yellow. Turn it upside down. Add some glue. Put the last yellow rectangle over it. And then more glue on the back. This will go along the base. I was very messy with my glue there. And then got the front here. And the steps along the bottom. Next up is our border. This will be glued on. And finally, the ghost coming out the chimney. There he is, to glue on. So that's our haunted house card and the spooky tree card all done. Now they need an envelope to go in. Here are the pieces of my envelope. I've cut it from a pattern paper with this lovely pumpkin design on one side, and then it's white on the other side. So if you are using pattern paper that's white on one side, you can choose if you want your outside to be white, so that when it's opened, you'll get a lovely pop of colour on the inside, or if you'd rather the outside was patterned. The only thing to bear in mind is if your outside is patterned, it's quite hard to write on the names and especially the addresses. I have got a separate video on how you can get your Cricut to make little panels to go on here with the name and address, and the Cricut will do all the writing for you. To find that, head to the schedule page for the Halloween Craft Countdown, look in the Foundation Learning section near the top of the page, and there's a link to a separate tutorial in there on how to make envelopes with your Cricut. I'm going to do my pattern on the inside so that it's nice and easy to write on the outside. Just managed to put that in some glue and now I've got it dirty. Just pretend you didn't see that. Okay, so I've got my score lines on this side. Because I want my pattern to be on the inside, I'll need to fold it upwards along all those score lines. Then I'll turn it upside down so I'm seeing this side so that I can stick on the flaps. You can either use glue or double-sided tape. I find tape's kind of easier because it means it sticks straight away rather than having to wait for the glue to dry. This is an Easy Runner Grand tape runner. It's really handy for getting double-sided tape on. And it makes a super satisfying noise. I'll stick these on. Line it up against the score lines. I've done that very wonky. Try again. Then turn it over. And it can help when you're building up the sides to put one of your cards in the envelope. That way you know as you're building it round that it's definitely going to fit. So we'll fold up the two sides and then one of the bottoms on there. This is quite a thick card now, so you can sort of see my envelope is going to be thick because it's going around the card. If I tried to put this together without having the card in there, it might have ended up a little bit too thin to go around the card. And then we can, let's take that out a minute, add the tape. As close to the edge as you can without going over it. If you go over the edge, your tape will stick your card inside the envelope, which is not what you want. So if you go over, fold it back on itself until it's neat. Put that back in. Fold that up, pull it tight. Oh, I've gone a little bit too far over with my tape, so I need to try and take that off. Glue might have actually been easier for that bit. I forget that for smaller envelopes, the tape is too thick. But there's my envelope. I've got my card, and then when you want to seal it up, you can either glue it down, use tape, use a wax seal, use washi tape, however it is that you want to seal that up. So I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera and scrape off all of that tape that I've got going outside the envelope. But apart from that, that is our Halloween card, and the other one, the tree one, here it is, and the envelope. Well, nearly finished. The envelope needs a little bit of work, but it's almost there. I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to make these lovely Halloween cards with your Cricut machine. If you like this style of card with the designs coming out of the frame around the edge, check out the Instant Access bundle for this Halloween craft countdown for 10 additional Halloween greetings card designs. You get all 10 of those, plus a load of extra bonus files at craftwithsarah.com/HCC25 bundle, or I'll drop the link in the description of this video. I really enjoyed making these. All of the colours go together so nicely to really give that spooky Halloween vibe. I hope to see you again tomorrow for day 17 of the Halloween Craft Countdown. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Bye!